Welcome to the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. You can catch us Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific on FS1. Here's what this podcast is all about. It's an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the day's show, and there is a lot to get into in today's podcast. Shannon challenges Skip with a debate between Ezekiel Elliott and Le'Veon Bell, where he claims it isn't close. He's taking Bell every day of the week. Skip suggests last night was one of Tom Brady's best regular season games in his career. The guys react to the newest round of Jerry Jones' comments about the Dallas quarterback situation. We welcome Hall of Famer Cris to the Fox team, who comes to declare the Patriots are the best team in the NFL, and this is the best he's seen Tom Brady play. Plus, former NFL GM Michael Lombardi is here to talk about the Rams' choice to fire Jeff Fisher and where the Rams go from here. Did you have any calls yesterday, Shannon?
For the last, I would say, since 1990, my sister Libby, we call her Buck. My brother and I, we call her Buck. We've talked on average 4 to 5 times a day since 1990. I would say she's probably my best friend. And yesterday I only talked to her twice because she made me upset. Because she said, the way I did you, Skip has won 11 weeks, Shannon, and he comes out there every week and he's nice and he lets you say your point and you wouldn't let him speak.
True, Libby. Thank you.
So you know what I did?
Hung up on her.
That's why she only talked. That's why she only talked to me twice.
Yeah.
If you're gonna be a Benedict Arnold sister,
Just the way you hang up on me every day, right here on this show.
That's
right?
nice. Libby's on your side, Skip.
Yeah, I like Libby.
I know two women on Skip's side.
Yep.
I am completely
Ernestine
partial.
and Libby
Exactly.
on my side. That's it. Period. End of story. Joy remains objective on the show as the moderator of the show.
That's my job.
You go to church every Sunday, Skip, and you
That's
just
the
said
truth.
that.
No, I do. I believe that from my heart.
Well, let's get started with last night's game. The Patriots overcame 2 special teams turnovers and beat the Ravens 30-23. Tom Brady threw for over 400 yards with 3 touchdown passes. Brady has 50 wins and just 1 loss at home against the AFC since 2007. Skip, as you mentioned, you picked the Patriots to win last night. They have improved to 11-2 now. So how impressed were you by their performance?
You're probably asking the wrong guy here, but I was obviously, as anybody should be, extremely impressed with the Patriots overall, but even more impressed with that 39-year-old quarterback. What's his name? That guy, Brady? Yeah, who simply played one of the greatest games in the regular season he's played in his 15 years as a starting quarterback. And by the way, he managed to do it last night without Rob Gronkowski and even without Danny Amendola. Who knew how Tom Brady could pull that off? And this is just me saying this. This is my 2 cents from a distance. It was an honor for me to watch that man, Tom Brady, operate against the NFL's #1 overall defense last night in Foxborough. And if New England hadn't handed Baltimore 2 shockingly uncharacteristic kicking game blunders, of course, the muff punt followed immediately by the fumbled kickoff, I think Tom Brady would have won that game 30-3, if not 37-3, because it might have broken completely open in the end. And Julian Edelman had a rare off night last night. He had 3 drops, and he broke off a route for reasons I don't know, in which Brady threw deep into the end zone, which made Brady furious. He took him to task sitting on the bench. I love Tom Brady for doing that because they will listen to him and respond well to that as opposed to some other quarterbacks doing that.
But I don't like that.
Yeah, I know, I got it. But they talked it out on the sidelines, and they're very close. But Brady threw a fit over that, as he should have. But despite Julian Edelman's off night, Tom Brady threw for 406 yards last night. And on throws of 15-plus yards down the field, Tom Brady went 8 of 10 for 248 yards and 2 touchdowns. That's his second most 15-plus yard completions in the last 10 years. His first most was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, which was in 2013, in which he had 10 longer completions. And Brady's 8 deep completions last night were the most the Ravens have allowed in the last 4 years. Brady also went against blitzes, 7 for 9 for 83 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is just extraordinary against that Baltimore blitz. And so Tom Brady has now regained the NFL lead in my favorite statistic, QBR, over Dak Prescott. He is now 22 touchdowns, Tom Brady is, to only 2 interceptions for the year. He is now taking control of an MVP race. He will not win because he had to sit out the first 4 games because he finally gave in and accepted his Deflategate suspension. But for all those out there who think that Gronk made Brady more than vice versa, I give you last night against the best defense in pro football, 406 yards and 3 touchdowns. Thank you very much. The floor is yours.
First of all, no one ever said that Gronk made Tom Brady because Tom Brady was a 3-time Super Bowl winning quarterback before he even knew Gronk existed. He had already won 2 Super Bowl MVPs before he knew Gronk existed.
There are those out there who have written and said that.
I don't know who those are, but they're not very intelligent. Skip, I'm not disappointed that the Ravens lost. I'm more disappointed in how they lost because the Patriots turned the ball over 3 times. You mentioned Tom also threw a pick in the end zone.
He did, and it was awful. It was shockingly uncharacteristic.
Even after turning the ball over 3 times, that offense still put up almost 500 yards of offense. So minus 2 full possessions, you're talking about a possible 600-yard night against the defense that's number 1. They were tied with the Patriots as far as points allowed, but they were number 1 in third down. They were number 1 in rush. They were number 2 in pass. If you do not get pressure on Tom Brady, he'll pick you apart. And because they couldn't get pressure on Brady, Jimmy Smith went down, and their secondary, that's the weak link. They can't cover on the back end. And Suggs is playing with a torn bicep. Elvis Dumerville has only been back a month, so he's trying to get back in football shape. And you look at what they were trying to do. It was very clear to me early on, and it should have been clear to the Patriots. Lewis and White were going to be very integral parts of the offense. Why would you continuously put linebackers on them in man coverage when they're at a decided disadvantage?
Pick your poison.
At some point in time, you have to say, you know what? This is where we're going to go, and let's roll coverage to them. Or put someone that's better suited to play man coverage. If you're a linebacker and you're playing a running back and he's lined up out wide, if you play 10 yards off, they're going to throw the slant to him. And then you're always going to be in a trail position. The next thing you know, the guy's going to pick up 60-plus yards on you. But then, from an offensive standpoint for the Ravens, Joe Flacco didn't play particularly well. See, this is why you have to give Coach Belichick a lot of credit. Because he realized I can't get there with 4 guys. Because if I bring the extra guy or extra 2 guys, I'm really sacrificing my back end. And on the back end, they have not played well this year. So what we're going to do is we're going to rush 3 and play and drop 8. So they have to be very good on first and second down because you can't play that coverage if it's 3rd and 2, if it's 3rd and 3. So you need to have it 3rd and long. And when you play them, you know going into the game that you're going to have to be patient. You can't take shots that's not there. When they give you an opportunity, you got to cash in on those. So you got to dink and dunk to move your way methodically down the field. Coach Belichick believes that if I make you go 13, 14 plays, I think there's a greater chance you're going to turn the football over as opposed to hitting me with a bomb over the top. And then, on the defensive side of the football, there's something illustrated, Skip, and it bothered me the whole night, and I tweeted out about it when it happened. Eric Weddle, they got from San Diego. He's a very good safety. He's playing free safety. His only responsibility is to be in the deep middle of the field. That's his only job. He has no other responsibility. He doesn't have a run fake. Watch what he does. He's highlighted in the screen, Skip.
I saw it a number of times last night, but go ahead.
The only thing he's supposed to do is be in the deep middle of the field. One of 2 things should have happened if Tom Brady throws this pass. 1, he should have picked the play. 2, he should have depleted Hogan. You noticed I didn't list the 3rd thing, which was a touchdown, because that's what shouldn't have happened. If he's playing his responsibility, if I get beat, any coach will tell you, if we get beat, something we've seen on tape, you're playing your responsibility, I can live with that. But what's going to get me upset, if you're not doing your responsibility, you're trying to cover for someone else, and then we get beat. That's when I have a problem. They gave up a safety. They got a blocked field goal. Devin Hester is arguably the greatest return man in NFL history, and he constantly let the ball hit the turf and go extra 10, 15 yards.
Devin's a little past his prime.
Hold up. Them checks are still young. He's still collecting checks. Guess what he's going to do today, Skip? He's going to go upstairs and pick up a check.
You will?
Okay, then. So I don't use age. I'm in the results business. I don't really do the excuses. Oh, man, I'm done with excuses. They used to be my friend, but I'm done with them now.
Well, New England could have used Devin Hester last night, returning. They'd take him right now.
Even with that being said, and that's why I'm so the Patriots are the Patriots. You know what you're going to get from this football team in December in their building. You better bring your A game. So even though they played probably a C game for them, a lot of people would take that. I mean, you get 500 yards of offense, people will take that. But for them, and Coach Belichick preached after the game, guys, I'm excited about the win, but we can't continuously win playing like this. You give up a ball on the 3-yard line, you give up a ball on the 22-yard line, you throw a pick in the end zone. That's not good enough. That's not who we are. So I'm very disappointed in the way the Ravens played, considering how good their defense have been this entire season, even though they've had a lot of injuries.
So you sound like a man who picked the Ravens, who's upset with the Ravens and is now blaming the Ravens for making you look bad with your pick, and you're not giving enough credit to number 12 who played for the other team last night.
Skip, Skip, when you're the number 1 ranked defense.
They were coming in.
You don't
one.
look, I don't care if it's Tom Brady at 27. You don't allow what happened last night to happen. You can't give up 500 yards of offense, and you got 3 turnovers?
He was extraordinary last night, Tom Brady. He was throwing lasers everywhere. The 3 drops. What if Edelman hadn't dropped 3 balls? What if he hadn't broken off his route in the end zone? We might be talking about a 500-yard passing performance.
And, okay, on the goal line, and I didn't illustrate this play, they got a goal line. They're coming out of all-out blitz. Why is the corner playing off? All he's going to do is just raise up and throw the quick slant. So that's
Malcolm Mitchell.
Yes,
yeah.
That's what I don't. Dude, you're a cornerback. You know they're coming with a blitz. If you're playing off, where are you back? If you back up into the end zone and he catch it, guess what it is, Skip? You got to smell the deodorant. It's a touchdown.
But you got to pick your poison, and they picked the wrong poison a couple of times. And back to your Eric Weddle play, you know what happened? He got deked by maybe the greatest quarterback ever. Brady cut his eyes to the left, and Weddle bit on the eye fake. That's what it was. It was an eye fake. And look at it, he false steps to the right.
Skip, he's playing center field.
I got it. You got to choose.
There's a guy streaming up the field on his left.
Okay, but that guy I have brought up numerous times on this show, and you have discounted that guy, Chris Hogan. You've said, he's just okay. He's just another guy. He ran 4.5 at the combine, and I looked on YouTube, and you can go look it up right now and watch it. This was unofficial, but he timed 4.39 in a YouTube 40-yard dash. Didn't even play football at Penn State, played lacrosse, then graduated and played 1 year of college football at Monmouth. Didn't obviously get drafted, bounced around the league, got cut a couple times. I first knew him from Hard Knocks. You remember with
Always Open?
Always with 7-Eleven, yep. Always Open. That was a Reggie Bush name that Reggie gave him, but the star of that Hard Knocks was my friend Chad Johnson, who was in Ocho Cinco. But that's when I first knew of Chris Hogan. So then he goes to Buffalo and has 2 pretty good years, 41 catches and 36 catches. And if you can explain to me how Buffalo let Chris Hogan go to New England, you're way better than I. Now, New England had to pay him. They gave him 3 years, $12 million. So they gave him 7.5 guaranteed. He's a stud. I don't care what you say. He weighs 220. He's 6'1", 220, and he can flat fly. And he was flying up the seam. And I've seen a lot of quarterbacks miss that throw. He never broke stride. It hit him right there. It's as pretty a throw as you will ever see. And it's also a pretty catch and run because you have to catch it without breaking 1 ounce of stride. And then he pulled away from all the DBs.
People don't realize how hard the over-the-shoulder catch is because you're tracking the ball and then all of a sudden the ball goes blind.
You would know. You would know.
So people don't realize, and people always think you catch the ball with your hands. You catch the ball with your eyes.
Well, usually just the pounding of your heels on the turf, it's jarring to your eyes and you can't focus.
That is exactly right. And then the ball all of a sudden, because it drops over your shoulder, it goes blind for a second and then falls into your hand.
It was a pretty play, man.
It was. And Skip,
by the way, Matt Elam stumbled too coming. I think he had him.
But he has center field.
Yep.
The job of the center fielder is not to be the cutoff man for the second baseman. That's the second baseman job. If you do your job, that's my only problem, Skip. Sometimes things are going to happen. But if Tom Brady makes that play and all of a sudden the guy just outruns Eric Weddle,
Yep.
jumps over the top of him and makes the catch, I can live with that. But he was not doing his responsibility. And that's what's so disappointing, because when you're the number 1 ranked defense, in order for you to get to that ranking, you've had to have a lot of guys do their responsibility more times than not.
Yep.
And this is the one team you can't be guessing. This is the one team you cannot do your responsibility and not have something bad happen to you, because they're great at situations. Tom Brady is the master. He knows if this guy makes a mistake, I'm throwing this ball to Hogan. It's not I might go here, I might go there. He automatically knows when he sees that formation and he sees what they're lined up in defensively. He says if he takes one false step, one way or the other, this ball is going to Hogan, because you have to realize that Hogan is not in a press position. So he's running full speed, unimpeded.
And by the way, Lombardi was on with us last week and made the point you have to jam Cris Hogan at the line of scrimmage. Didn't he say?
Yes.
You've got to knock him off his route immediately, because he doesn't adjust well to that, but that was a clean, free release.
A lot of times, the hardest thing college receivers have a hard time adjusting to is press coverage, because nobody really presses in college. Because if you have a name, oh man, I can't mess with D.D. Westbrook, man. That dude might run by me.
I agree.
You come to the National Football League, everybody's putting hands on you, because even if it's only temporarily, they want you to pat your feet. That's just enough. Maybe gives a Doomerville or Suggs to get there. But they didn't do that last night. You can always be impressed, because the Patriots are going to come out and give you their absolute best every game. So the Patriots didn't do anything I didn't expect them to do. I just expected, looking at the stats, watching the Ravens play this year, that they would play better than what they did on that side of the football. To give up 500 yards and you get 3 takeaways, that's a legit 40-point, 600-plus yard game for the Patriots in that building. It had they played an A game. And that's what's disappointing, and I'm sure John Harbaugh is saying the exact same thing.
And by the way, one other point on Cris Hogan, he already has such rapport with Tom Brady, such mental rapport. That was an option route, so he could go one way or the other. He could cut it off in a slant, or he could just go up the seam. And they both knew right away what was about to happen. So
because he
you have to be on the same wavelength.
Because he has a free release. Once he gets the free release, he gets ahead of steam. Why am I going to break it off? And then because here's the thing.
I got it.
Once they run the play fake, you see if he runs the slant, C.J. Mosley, who bites, all of a sudden he's getting back. He's going to possibly tip that and take the slant away. Hogan says, "Hey, I'm free release." They're not just straight up the field, and that's what was so disappointing. I'm not taking anything away from the Patriots. And sometimes when you say, well, this happened on the other team, people think that you're shading the Patriots. No, I'm not shading the Patriots. I just think the Ravens did a poor job of execution on their side of the football, and the Patriots capitalized on it, even though they turned the football over 3 times, scored 30. That's normally a 42-point night and probably 600 total yard night for the Patriots.
I got it. So, Joy, if you will allow me to do this, I must remind my friend Shannon Sharpe that my Super Bowl pick from August, Dallas versus New England, now the Cowboys and the Patriots are both 11-2, the best record in the National Football League.
They have the best
and
record.
Those are the 2 teams that embarrassed the Baltimore #1 defense in the National Football League, because my Cowboys put up a mere 417 yards and 27 points on that Baltimore defense with 27 first downs. Patriots only had 20 last night. So Dak threw for a mere 301 against that defense. But I just throw that out, that those are the only 2 teams that were able to take advantage of what sounds like is a flawed Baltimore number one defense.
No. First of all, that's you being disingenuous, Skip. They've lost 5 games. So clearly there have been 3 other teams that's taken advantage of that Baltimore defense as well.
Well, they're statistically, they've allowed the fewest yards and the fewest points in the National Football League.
Statistics look well on paper, but the stat that I look first and foremost, I'm going to look at this stat to the left. I want to see if it's a check in the, and then I'm going to look to that stat to the right, and then I'm going to see if it's a check in that. Because if I look to the left, I don't really care what the stats say. Because they used to in 2000 when I was playing with the Ravens, and Brian Billick would always tell us, everybody's talking about how bad our offense is. And I stood up in the meeting, I said, you know what everybody's saying about our bad offense, all the good offenses? They're at home watching while we're getting ready for the Super Bowl.
I got it. So bottom line, our friend Jamie Horowitz was wrong about this because sometimes numbers do lie, right?
Yes.
Right? Just for the record. That's kind of an inside joke.
Well, last night it would have been interesting to see them take advantage of what was not a very characteristic game of the Patriots with those turnovers.
Totally
but you were dealing with Psycho Tom last night.
Oh, we didn't get to see Psycho. I forgot.
We'll
see him
Do we
later.
have time for Psycho Tom? We have time for Psycho Tom.
No, we don't.
Let's
Do
see
we?
Psycho Tom.
Wait, look.
Time for it.
Look, come on. Come on.
Let's go.
Come on.
Let's go.
Come on, Psycho
Let's
Tom.
go.
Come on.
Let's go.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a quarterback get that emotional? It's rare, raw, authentic. It's so Psycho Tom. When he gets in that mode, I know I'm good. I'm good.
You know what I want to happen Sunday? I want Odell to get right there and stand up on the bench when they score a touchdown, and I want him to yell, "Let's go, let's go." And I want you to come in here on Monday and say, "Hey, Odell, getting them fired up."
Yeah, Odell's not a quarterback.
I don't care what he is.
No mercy. Jerry Jones was on Dallas radio this morning and was asked if there was a situation where Tony Romo would replace Dak Prescott as starting quarterback. Jerry said, quote, "You'll know it when you see it." Jerry added, "It will be obvious to see with Romo, with the way he's been practicing and playing. We're going into the playoffs with a great quarterback situation. I'm not tired of answering it because I'm grateful for our situation. I think it's wonderful."
Aha. Here we go.
Skip,
Yes, Joy.
what do you make of Jerry's comments?
What I make is translation. Dak Prescott had better snap out of it for this upcoming game against Tampa Bay on Sunday night and play as well as he did for all those games leading up and through the Redskins game on Thanksgiving Day at Jerry World. Or Tony Romo will start the following game, which is Detroit on Monday Night Football after this coming Sunday night. And wouldn't our friends at ESPN love it if Tony Romo started that Monday night game against Detroit? That would be a ratings bonanza. I personally would not love it. But I've said from the start, Jerry is just biding his time, waiting for his opening, and now the door is cracked because my Cowboys, Dak's Cowboys, obviously went 1 for 9 on third down at Minnesota and lived to tell about it, survived. Then they went 1 for 15 at the Giants, and they lost 10-7. You can say Dak is hitting that proverbial rookie wall. I still say I look back at all those games that he won at Washington and at Green Bay and at Pittsburgh and all the home games that he won against Baltimore and Cincinnati and the Redskins, and I can go on and on and on. That body of work should make him the starter all the way into the playoffs. I believe Dak will snap out of it and win this game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who have a red-hot defense and a very good quarterback of their own emerging in his second year in Jameis Winston. But this is week to week. He's been week to week, I thought, from the start. And now he's got to go win to win and save his job. This Sunday night against Tampa is a huge game for my Dallas Cowboys. And in the big picture it is, because if they lose this game, then they're going backward when you should be going forward toward the playoffs. And it would be a huge loss. And I told you I'll come in here on Monday if they lose and say, now we're in trouble. So far, we're not in trouble because we're still 11-2, tied with New England for the best record in pro football, in the driver's seat for home field advantage. 2 games in a row at home, Tampa Bay, Detroit, both dangerous but winnable games. Dak, you got to take care of business, and you got to snap out of it and get back to being Dak Prescott.
It's funny that a young man that's 11-2, won 11 straight ball games, possibly has to win out in order to keep his job starting in the playoffs. Jerry says he loves talking about this. You know why? Because Tony isn't in there yet. I guarantee you, if Tony were to start and they ask him, if Tony mess up, would you go back to Dak? He would say no. Skip, everybody got on me. You're making something that's nothing. I'm telling you, it's not so much what Jerry is saying, it's what he isn't saying when he should be saying it. See, normal coaches, when Tom Brady played his worst game, maybe of his career, in Kansas City, are you thinking about Nick?
No.
Really? Seriously?
Yeah.
Are you going to ask me
true.
this?
No. You're right.
Tony Romo looks good in practice. We're not talking about the game. We're talking about practice. He looks good in practice. Because remember the last time they saw Tony Romo in a meaningful game, although the third game of the preseason, what happened, Skip? That's how Dak got in there. But he's talking about Tony Romo.
And by the way, that well could happen very quickly the next time he plays.
Skip.
Get hurt.
Think about it. Tony Romo's looking good in practice. He's going against the Cowboys defense. The Cowboys defense isn't very good. What they've been able to do is hide it. When you hold the ball 36 minutes, Skip, and your defense is only on the field 24 to 25 minutes, you're going to win a lot of ball games because the Cowboys offense puts so much pressure on you because they're scoring. Dak was scoring 27, 28 points a game. Sometimes they got to 30. Well,
I got to interject quickly.
Go ahead.
I thought that defense was really good at the Giants the other
They
night.
played
really good because the time possession was about even. So go ahead.
It was really good, and Eli was really good and terrible.
Okay.
But
whatever.
Skip, Jerry cannot bring himself. He will feel incomplete if this team were to make the,
He will.
They're going to make the playoffs.
Yep.
Go to the playoffs and get to the Super Bowl. Jerry will feel incomplete if Tony Romo's not his starting quarterback.
Correct.
In his heart of hearts, he's not wishing bad on Dak Prescott. I don't believe any owner or player wishes bad on another owner or player. But he wants Tony in there. He wants Tony to validate his belief in him. Because
his financial commitment to him. Yes.
Because Jerry is like in his mid-70s, and he's still a little kid. I told you.
He is.
And that's what he wants. I can't, for me, it didn't matter. Yeah, I wanted John to win the Super Bowl. But if John had gotten hurt and Bubby came in there and was playing better than John, I love him. But why upset what we have here? I just don't get it. It's hard for me to understand because I've never seen it. Having played the game for 14 years, having been around the game since I've been retired, so better part of almost 30 years, I've never, ever heard an owner who's a part-time coach. Well, he's the full-time coach. Garrett just stands on the side. Jason
I agree
Garrett
with that.
just stands on the sideline.
You're right.
But I've never heard this kind of talk before. Everybody have a contingent plan. If something were to happen, but they're not discussing it openly every week. How does the backup quarterback, I mean, we talked about Tebow being the backup quarterback and getting mentioned. How does the backup quarterback, when the guy won 11 straight games, is still in your vernacular about possibly being inserted into the lineup?
Because he's got, $100-some million contract.
$108 million, 55 guaranteed.
And he's made 4 Pro Bowls. And Jerry does, I don't know if he loves him like a son, but he likes him a lot personally. And I've been around Jerry enough to tell you, he's got that old school mentality of, hey, the kid played great, pat him on the head. Yeah. He got us in position, but now, come on now. Now we got to give it to the real quarterback. You know, the guy who knows how to get us home. Here we go.
I can see, though, if Tony Romo had a track record. Tony Romo's never been to a conference championship. Tony Romo's never been to a Super Bowl. So he's basing it on, like Tony Romo is Tom Brady. Like Tony Romo is Ben Roethlisberger or Eli.
Yep.
These guys have proven track records, been to championship games, won Super Bowls. Why are you so convinced that this time around, Tony's going to bring it home? Because remember now, this is the same offensive line that you had in 2014. And I know everybody says DeMarco Murray is not on Ezekiel's level. But DeMarco Murray had 1,848 yards.
Good.
Dez Bryant, and you will attest to this, Skip, he played the best receiver of his career that year.
Monster. Jump ball monster.
So
throw it up and let him go get it.
So we saw.
Yep.
So even at his absolute best, he lost 4 games in the regular season. Dak Prescott is a rookie. He's 11 and 2? 11 and 2. So you putting all this praise and heaping all this praise on Tony Romo like he has a track record that says he's a Super Bowl winning, he's a conference title winning quarterback when that's not there. When you 3,000 Skip. 3,000 yards used to mean something before they changed the rules. Now, if you don't throw for 4,000 yards, Skip, people look at you like you're a bum. And John Elway had 1. I don't know how many Montana had. Maybe he had 1 or 2. But it was 3,000 was the gold standard. Now, if you don't throw for 4,000 yards with as much as they throw it, they look at you like you're a bum.
So Jerry Jones, in his pride, were on a mission 1995 to show the world that he could win a Super Bowl without Jimmy Johnson. And he had made a statement before he hired Barry Switzer saying, 500 coaches could win a Super Bowl with this team that we have assembled here. And Barry Switzer finally, he failed in 94, but in 95, he won a Super Bowl. This is the same concept right now. He wants to show the world he can win a Super Bowl with Tony Romo, and the kid has made it possible. I know Tony Romo would not be 11-2 with this team. I doubt Tony Romo would still be afloat with this team because I don't think he could have remained healthy with this team. But the point is, now that Dak has done what Dak did, which is extraordinary, all of a sudden it's a silver platter to say, the kid hit the rookie wall. He put us in position. Now take us home, Tony Romo. Take me home with you, Tony Romo. Take my pride and my legacy home with you. Bring home that Lombardi, Tony Romo. Come on.
When you look at, Skip, the teams, the guys that have won, I'm talking about all-time great quarterbacks. You're talking about Marino won in this many games, or Elway going 13-0, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning. You're talking about some of the all-time greats winning double-digit games in a row. I don't know. Has Tony Romo ever won double-digit games in a row? No. So for Jerry to say, Tony, with this team right here, he bringing it home.
Only Jerry Jones could think it's a good thing to have a quarterback controversy.
That's correct.
A quarterback controversy that shouldn't exist in the first place.
Thank you. And he is going to screw it up before this is over.
You're going to be so obsessed.
Hopefully not. No mercy. Ezekiel Elliott and Le'Veon Bell are the only two running backs averaging over 100 yards per game this season. Zeke has scored 13 total touchdowns, third best in the NFL, and Bell had nearly 300 total yards and 3 touchdowns against Buffalo on Sunday. Skip? Who's the best running back in the NFL, Zeke or Le'Veon?
We're only doing this because you started it yesterday. You brought up the fact that out of the blue, you said that Le'Veon's the best all-around back in football, right?
I didn't lie.
Oh, okay, good. Well, then,
Shannon never lies.
Okay. Ooh, another shot. I like that. This isn't even close to me. This isn't debatable to me. Ezekiel Elliott is in another category, another echelon from Le'Veon Bell. He's just as big, he's faster, he's quicker, he's more explosive, he's more all-around athletic, he's more take-it-to-the-house dangerous. I think if you did a poll of GMs that it would be across the board 32-0, they would take Zeke going forward over Le'Veon. And I have respect for Le'Veon. I get what you like about him. But this guy is rare. This is Zeke the freak. And I'm not going to be a hypocrite about this. Before that draft, I loved Ezekiel, but I thought Dallas should take Joey Bosa with that pick just because they needed Joey Bosa. Right. They had Darren McFadden, who, by the way, is just coming back this week. He's going to be activated. I don't know what they're going to do with him exactly.
He got called up from the minors.
I don't know. But he's a 1,000-yard rusher. And I thought this year, without Zeke, obviously, that he could get, 1,200 yards behind that offensive line, and they would be credible at that position. Jerry was right about this. This guy, you strengthened your strength. You didn't just strengthen it, you took it to a whole nother level. But Shannon, when I look at their college numbers, they both played 40 games in college, so it was pretty even. And Zeke averaged 100 yards a game, and Le'Veon averaged 87 a game. And to your point of yesterday, Le'Veon catches the ball, or at least caught the ball at Michigan State a lot more than Zeke did for Ohio State, 78 catches to 55. But look at what happened after he caught the ball. Zeke averaged 7.7 a catch to Le'Veon's 6.8. And then I took Le'Veon's best year as a pro of his 4 years, which is 2014. Without boring you with the numbers, every number is better so far for Zeke. Every number across the board. He's averaged 107 yards a game this year. In Le'Veon's best year, he averaged 85 yards a game. And again, the catches, more for Le'Veon. But Zeke, more yards per catch. And then you just look at yards after contact this year. Zeke already has 504 yards after contact, which is number 1 in the National Football League. And Le'Veon, he did miss 3 games, but he's got 326, which is 11th in the NFL. I mean, Zeke is not only a freak, but he's a beast too, because his body lean is as special as I've ever seen. He leans this way going into the line of scrimmage. And you want to talk about moving a pile? He doesn't move it with just raw leg strength. He moves it with explosion. He just explodes up into the pile. And I say, how did he do that? He just got 8 yards through a lot of stuff, a lot of bodies, and he just either powers or snakes his way through body after body for yard after yard after yard. And man, when it's 3rd and 1, I'm like, I got this, because he's going to get that. If it's 3rd and goal, 4th and goal, I got this. He's going to score he's going to make the plays that have to get made. So I'm sorry, I respect Le'Veon, but I think this guy's in another league.
Skip, you're out your mind. It's not even close. And you're right. Maybe 32 general managers would take Zeke over Le'Veon Bell, but that's with the caveat because he's been suspended on several occasions for things that weren't related to injuries.
Well, Zeke has had his off-the-field issues also.
But he hasn't been suspended.
No.
But if I'm just looking at this, and I'm looking at this in a vacuum, Zeke, Le'Veon, it's not even close. You talk about his 2014 season when he had 87 catches and 1,300 yards. But did you mention in that stat that Antonio Brown had 129 catches for over 1,700 yards? But you didn't mention that. So this
Why would I?
Exactly, because that just goes to show you how dynamic. See, there's more to catching the ball than screens. I can line Le'Veon Bell up outside, run a slant. Most running backs can run a slant. I said, Le'Veon, go run me a square out. Le'Veon, run me an in cut. Le'Veon, run me a dig. Run me a comeback. He can do it. See, Le'Veon Bell is one of these unique guys. He's like a Marshall Faulk. Marshall Faulk once rushed for 1,000, caught for 1,000. Also, Roger Craig did the same thing. But one of the best seasons that I got an opportunity to see up close and personal, I saw LaDainian Tomlinson rush for over 1,600 yards and catch 100 passes. He's in this category. That's what Le'Veon Bell is. He's the most complete. He's averaging 161 yards from scrimmage, which would be if he continues this pace with 3 games to go, it'll be the second most behind Priest Holmes. The guy missed 3 games. He has 67 catches right now, Skip, and he's missed 3 games with Antonio Brown leading the league in catches. There's nothing he can't do. He's so patient. I'm yelling at the TV, hit the hole, Le'Veon. And he's just like, he got the ball. I think I'm going to go to the right. And he's just so effortless. Skip, there's nothing he can't do. He can pick up the blitz on pass protection. He runs the ball clear. He's already over 1,000. Remember now, he missed those first 3 games of the season. He's only 100 yards behind Ezekiel Elliott for yards from scrimmage. You talk about, Zeke, all this lean forward. All I know at the end of the year, this young man's probably going to finish second behind David Johnson of Arizona for most yards from scrimmage. And so for you to talk about it's not close with a Zeke, I love Zeke. I think he's a great talent. But as far as complete back, the best back, if I could, I'd take him.
Ezekiel has hands equal to Le'Veon's hands. He can catch it as well as Le'Veon.
We've seen him catch it on screens. We've seen him catch it.
I don't even care about screens. I'm just talking about safety valve outlet passes. When Dak's in trouble, just flip it to that guy in the flat, because once he gets it in the open field, you better look out.
Everybody, I'm watching Le'Veon Bell running square outs. I'm watching Le'Veon Bell running in cuts.
Here's my point. If I need a running back to run the route tree, I think I'll just get a wide receiver. I think I'll draft a wide receiver. If I need him, then I'm in trouble, because you can't tell me that he can run better routes, Ezekiel, than Measly Beasley can run. I'll just let him run those routes. Why do you need him to split out and run routes?
Because I want him matched up against a linebacker. I want him matched up against a safety. Because Measly Beasley is beating 3rd and 4th receivers. He can't line up out wide. He's a strictly a between the numbers guy. Mainly between the hashes. That's what Measly Beasley is.
But I think he might be the best between the hashes guy.
I'll take Edelman, but hey, we're splitting. We're not talking about them. We're talking about Le'Veon. And if I want to get, because Skip, if I only buy a microwave to heat stuff up, should my microwave defrost? Come on, Joy, you microwave a lot of stuff.
Mine does.
Your non-cooking self. Yeah, I had to get a cheap shot in because I'm still mad about yesterday.
I can't cook. Why wouldn't I just buy food from someone who knows how to cook?
That's a good point.
I'm still upset with you. I'm still upset about you about yesterday. I just let you know.
What did I do?
But Skip, back to you.
We'll get back to that.
Le'Veon Bell is the most complete back. He's in that Marshall Faulk. He's in that LaDainian Tomlinson. He's in that Roger Craig. Marcus Allen was the first guy. that was a big guy, 6'2", 6'3", could run the football, could catch a bunch of passes, and then we got Roger Craig, and then we got Marshall Faulk and LaDainian. This guy is in this. Le'Veon Bell is in that elite group of guys. Mm-hmm. That's what he can do. Now, I just need him to clean up the off-the-field stuff and where the Steelers can count on him and know that he's not going to miss 3 games because of foolishness or 2 games because of foolishness. Skip, there's nothing. Hey, and since you talk about YouTube, did you see him dunk when he shot the ball up in the air and caught it off the bounce and dunked it home? Did you see that since you on YouTube all the time?
You always talk.
Yeah, you all know. No, I noticed you like to be on YouTube when it's going to help your argument.
Well, correct.
But look at that, see what Le'Veon
hurt your argument. That's what the point is.
Well, I'm going to send you a link today to your phone. So when you open it, you think it's something coming from me, it's going to be Le'Veon off the bounce. Boom!
Wow.
Dunking it home.
Wait, do football players play basketball? Is that part of the NFL competition? No, I don't think it is.
Oh, hold on. But here's the thing, though, Skip. I'm just trying to highlight you. How athletic. You keep on talking about he has more speed. Le'Veon Bell.
Have you seen Zeke run the hurdles in high school? Did you see that? You want to talk about athletic, explosive?
Skip.
You ever see anything like it? That's what happened. He's just hurdling through the defensive backfield.
All I'm saying is this guy missed 3 games. He's 100 yards behind Zeke, yards from scrimmage, after missing 3 games.
Okay.
After all Zeke has done, and Zeke is
all
this he's doing right here.
So why?
And plus, Le'Veon can rap. Zeke can't rap.
Okay,
hey, get him,
you know what? You got me. Case closed. One guy can rap, and I don't even know if the other guy's ever tried to rap.
Le'Veon can drop them bars.
Yeah.
Can Zeke do that?
No, he can't do that because I don't care. But here's your biggest point that you're saying, he can run the route tree. Well, why is it that my guy, when he does catch it, has more yards per catch in college and pro football? And he's just a baby in pro football. They have not begun to exploit his receiving capabilities. They just swing it or flip it to him so far. Just wait until he figures out how to play. Le'Veon's in his 4th year. My guy's played 13 games of his first year. So why routinely in college and pro football did he have more yards per catch? Because he's a much more dangerous open field runner than Le'Veon ever dreamed of being. Duncan Le'Veon.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
He can dunk, but can he get away from people?
What would Le'Veon look like behind that offensive line in Dallas?
I don't know.
What would Le'Veon had looked like?
I think Pittsburgh's offensive line is pretty good. I do.
What would Le'Veon had looked like in Columbus as opposed to Lansing?
I don't know.
You know.
Lansing had good teams all those years. They were good, man.
They were better than Ohio State in the last 4 years.
By the way, at Ohio State against Ain't Nick, as I call him, Nick Saban's defense, in a national semifinal game that really mattered. It's win or go home. And my guy ran for 230 yards against a Nick Saban defense. That should close the case right there. No. That should have won you over just that night.
Nope.
230 yards?
Because if that was the case, hey, Cam Newton had an all-time great, and we know what Cam became. Johnny Manziel had an all-time great day against Nick.
He sure did. He had a couple of them. Yeah.
Tim Tebow had one.
Yeah. It was okay.
Okay.
He had a better day against my Oklahoma Sooners, but that was for the national championship.
But that's not saying anything. But what happened the following year when Zeke in Columbus when they played Michigan State? How many yards did he have?
Yeah, and what did he do right after the game? He criticized his head coach for not feeding him the ball enough, and he was right about it, even though he was wrong to say so publicly.
He was.
And he profusely apologized all through the draft process for that, but he uttered the truth.
And who's apologizing for Coach Saban winning that national championship last year? You going to apologize for that? And we're going to win another one this year.
You should apologize for those defensive breakdowns.
Skip.
It's shameful. It's eyesore. One after another.
I'm telling
40.
Skip. I'm telling you now, St. Nick wins this national championship.
Yep.
I'm coming in here with some flip-flops, a tank top, and beach shorts, because I'm going to be sunning it. I'm going to be sunning it up in here.
No mercy. A day after the Rams were embarrassed at home against the Falcons, the team fired Jeff Fisher. Yesterday, Rams COO Kevin Demoff talked about the decision to fire Fisher. Let's take a listen.
It's unfortunate for him today because this is an organizational failure. And I think when you stand up here, anytime you let a head coach go, we all have to take a look in the mirror. This is not just about the head coach or the coaching staff. We have to improve across the board, from personnel to operations to everything. And it's what we told the staff today, that unfortunately today this is being discussed as Jeff Fisher, but collectively as the Rams, we need to get better moving forward, and that process really begins today. And I think the obvious thing people are going to say is, well, you're going to go hire an offensive coach because you've had a defensive coach or where the offense has been. I think we need to find the best head coach for the Los Angeles Rams. I think too often when we go through these processes, we look for the opposite of what we had as if that's going to be the fix. I think, quite frankly, we need to make sure we find the right coach to lead these 53 players and to put together a coaching staff and to represent this organization, in the best possible way.
We're joined by former NFL General Manager Michael Lombardi. Welcome,
morning.
Michael.
Good morning.
What will the Rams do next?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of speculation all over the country about what will the Rams do. Great city, big fan base, new environment, and Jim Harbaugh's name is going to become to the forefront. And I think knowing Jim Harbaugh as well as I do, got him his first job with the Oakland Raiders. I know the family very well. I'm close to a lot of people that are close to Jim. I just don't think Jim Harbaugh is a realistic candidate for the job. I think Jim Harbaugh is an outstanding coach. I want that on the record. I think Jim Harbaugh has been scorned like a lover in the NFL because he was dismissed from San Francisco. He took a team to a conference championship game, took a team to a Super Bowl, and then he never got a contract extension. He was deemed replaceable. And I think if the 49ers had time to go back and revisit that, I think they would determine he wasn't replaceable. Now, as you look at it, and as you had that happen to you, the landscape of the NFL becomes less attractive to you. Nick Saban, when he was in Miami, he wanted to sign Drew Brees. The team doctor said, you can't sign Drew Brees. His shoulder, he'll never play football again. Nick Saban said, you know what? I'm going to go to Alabama, and I'm going to control everything that I can control. The same thing happened to Jim Harbaugh. He went to Michigan, and he has complete control over everything.
And it is his alma mater.
It's his alma mater. He's dressing as if he's Bo Schembechler. So the thing I want to say before we start the segment is, let's just take the Jim Harbaugh rumors and really put him on the back burner. First of all, he's got a huge annuity that he's going to get paid a lot of money. And what we know from the Rams is we don't really know. What we don't know is if the Rams are willing to step up and be what I call one of the eight. When I was a young coach, when I was a young scout, my first year on the job in 1984, I was running around the draft room, and it was when we had 12 rounds, and it was late in the morning, and Bill Walsh said to me, what are you going crazy for? And I said, well, Coach, this team did that. He said, look, we're only competing against 8 teams, okay? So when one of those 8 teams does something, let me know. That was when we had 28 teams in the league. There's still only 8 teams. The Rams aren't one of the 8. Let's be real honest and frank. Right. Kevin Demoff just went on and said everybody has to do a better job. Kevin Demoff's never been involved in football. His father's been an agent, but in terms of he's competing against Bill Belichick. Think about that now. Just put that in perspective. He's competing
what makes
against,
you one of the 8? Is it start with the owner?
It starts with the owner. What he just said all there is really not accurate. What you have to do is build an organization. You're not going to beat the Patriots. You're not going to beat Pete Carroll by hiring one man. You got to build an organization to take him over. Just like we're not going to take out the Taliban with one bomb. It's going to take a long to do that. You're not going to be able to beat those teams until you build an organization. This is what they don't understand. You can't do it without a program. So you could throw the names around. Josh McDaniels would be a great hire, all right? But Josh McDaniels wants to build a program. He got run out of Denver because he wanted to build a program that the Denver people really didn't want because they had their own program. They had one before.
Well, you can't build a program if you're taping people's practices. You can't do that. Now, that happened. That happened now. So if we want to go to that, he was in London. He got caught taping the San Francisco 49ers walkthrough. That happened. That's not hearsay. That's fact.
Like father, like son.
Like the Jay Cutler situation was what
he was right. He was spot on.
Proved to be right.
Yes.
I'll give you another one. Greg Schiano. Okay, one of the best coaches I've ever been around in my life. Okay, all right. He's at Rutgers. Do you know how hard it is to win at Rutgers?
Yeah, he did.
And he won at
Turn
Rutgers.
It around.
Look at Rutgers now. I was told by some people in the league, some of these bean counter type people, anybody can win at Rutgers. He was 55 and 55. No, I grew up in the great state of New Jersey. It's impossible to win at Rutgers, okay? He won there. He goes to Tampa. He runs Josh Friedman off the team. He's 7-9. He gets fired because of his treatment of Josh Friedman. Where's Josh Friedman today? He doesn't even have an NFL job. He doesn't have a job. So my point is, these jobs are elected. They're not selected. If they were selected, you would put the right people in them. They're elected because Kevin Demoff wants to hire somebody who's going to work with him. Well, these people that are going to want to take these jobs aren't going to necessarily want to have their control of their fate moving forward because you're tied to a president of a team. And I think when you look over the landscape of the NFL, the Rams have to say that Stan Kroenke has to say, this is the kind of team I want, this is the direction I want to go in, and this is what I'm going to do, like Paul Allen did, like the New York Giants have done for years when they hired George Young back in 1977, and they've done all that.
Okay, so last quick question. So if Stan Kroenke takes over and he says, I'm going to go hire somebody and let them clean house if they feel like it and start my culture over, rebuild my whole organization, who is that guy he should go after?
If it were me, I would hire Greg Schiano because you would get a sense of toughness. Because I think here's the problem. One thing I think you can't do, you can't minimize is mental toughness in the NFL. You've got to have a mentally tough team. Sometimes you want to hire an offensive coach and it's going to create the dynamic of, oh, we can move the football, but you lose a mental toughness element of your team, and you've got to have it. And Pete Carroll is a mentally tough coach up in Seattle, and he's a defensive coach. Now, you're going to have to hire the right offensive coach, but if that were my call, if I was Stan Kroenke, I would say that's who I would hire because I need to have mental toughness on my team. I need to have discipline on my team. That's not a disciplined team, the Rams. Even though Jeff Fishers was on the competition committee and knew all the rules, they were in the bottom third of the NFL every year he was there. I mean, they were the most penalized team every year he was there. So as there's an old saying, you're either coaching it or allowing it to happen. He allowed it to happen. I think you need to change the work ethic of the Rams. I don't think they really understand. I think when you look at the teams that win in this league, the work ethic is completely different than the ones that don't win. And I think that's part of the problem. I think Mike Shanahan would be an outstanding coach. I think if you wanted to let him build a program, you let him build a program. But Mike Shanahan's not going to come in and work for Kevin Demoff, who's going to tell him what he wants to do. I think that becomes different.
I believe they need a guy that can fix the offensive side of the football. You can get a decent defensive coordinator with the talent. They got first rounders littered on the D line.
But none of them can play those. They can't. They're not a very good player. You see,
Donald,
I think
is for real.
I think the defensive line's good. I think about the offensive line.
No, God, no.
But my point here is what you're doing is you're hiring a manager. See, what they need is a leader. Managers do things right. Leaders do the right thing. And they need a leader. They need somebody to come in who's going to have a broad spectrum of things and say, this is how we have to attack the NFL. Right. This is what's going on. You want to hire a manager. That's the problem with the NFL. There's two types of coaches in the NFL. There's head coaches and coaches in charge of the assistants, okay? You want to hire a guy in charge of the assistants. I think that's completely wrong. I think the one thing Demoff said that was accurate in that whole thing was we need somebody to lead this team. Right. They need somebody to lead the organization. Yep. They need somebody who's going to stand up there and do it. I think what you're saying, if the organization was already structurally in place, like the Pittsburgh Steelers, who, by the way, hired a defensive coach, Mike Tomlin, and they have a sense of toughness to them, if it was already in place, I'd say, okay, fine, let's fix the quarterback. But this is a project. You got a quarterback who you're going to come in who's only played in shotgun, okay? You don't even know if you could put under center. How are you going to develop an offense around this? You've got all this investment in the quarterback. You can't throw him out the door just because somebody else picked him. Right. So you got to try to develop.
No, you tied to him because you gave up so much to get him.
So you got to build a defense.
But Skip, when I look at Jim Harbaugh, I look at Jim Harbaugh's medicine. You can only take it for an extended period of time, and then if you take it too long, it starts to have adverse effects.
Okay, that medicine really works for a while.
But that's the thing. It works really well in college because you're dealing with young men.
But it worked in the NFL.
It did.
But listen to me now. But till it gets, the young men in college are trying to get to a point. Jim Harbaugh needs to understand, once he's at this level, those are men too. They pay mortgages. They got wives. They got kids. So you talking to them in a certain tone is not going to fly. I like a guy that's been somewhere and didn't have success. Josh McDaniels, I think I didn't get along with him in Denver, but that's another story. But I think being under Coach Belichick, because Coach Belichick wasn't successful in Cleveland, one winning season in 5 years. Mike Shanahan started out at the Raiders, got fired after 20 games. He came back, rebuilt it. Pete Carroll, he was at the Jets. He was at New England and then Seattle. So they get it after a time. But for me, I think they got some defensively, if you go in there and run that, they got talent on defense. They can be a top
problem
five
is
defense.
you're going to change the culture.
Yes, absolutely.
And you're
The
going to lose
mindset.
guys. And you're going to lose some guys because there's guys that are used to doing whatever they want in that culture.
Yeah,
and
no,
you're going to lose guys over there. And that's going to become a problem.
That was the first thing Mike did when he got there. I mean, because, look, there are certain things, if a guy was playing well and he was 3 or 4 pounds overweight, let that slide. Guy playing well, he's 5, 10 minutes late, let that slide. Mike Shanahan came there with you overweight, that's $50.
Yeah.
Every pound you overweight, that's 50, and we doubling it, and we tripling it. So I agree with you on that situation, Michael. You do need someone that's going to come in there, and it's easier to lighten up as opposed to be light and try to toughen up.
Okay. So I'm going to take him in order. Jim Harbaugh. There is no way he's going to leave his alma mater for this job, even though it would intrigue him to have 2 shots at San Francisco every year.
Okay.
Because he'd like to get even with those people up there. But not enough to leave his. Well, look what he's built in 2 years at Michigan.
And plus $9 million a year.
Okay.
Plus,
he
gets Indiana.
Yeah.
He gets North.
I got it.
I mean, you know.
I'm with you. Josh McDaniels. I'm not sure about him. I know he can coach an offense. I know he can call plays because he's the Lane Kiffin of pro football as far as that, whatever that, I hate that word genius, but he's got some feel for.
Skip, he called good plays in New England with Tom Brady. He was also offensive coordinator in St. Louis.
Yeah.
And remember, he got fired, and then he went and worked with the Patriots for that year. They went to the Super Bowl.
But he may be where he should be right now. That's
maybe.
just me.
Okay.
Back to one of your conclusions. Look, Mike Shanahan, whom you know very well,
I absolutely
know
do.
some. Listen, what he did with Robert Griffin III that first year in Washington, that was pretty special stuff.
Yes.
Because they're up 14-0 in a playoff game against Seattle at home before Robert got hurt, and then that was pretty much the end of Robert. But my point is, you would have to do the package deal. I assume it would be Mike and Kyle, right?
Yep.
And you would have to. I'm not sure Kevin Dimoff would survive that. I don't know if he could work with you. He might try. But
nobody's going to come in there and tell. And Kevin wants to be involved in football.
Yeah.
I mean, it's clear he wants to be involved
Sure.
in football. And most of these guys that want to be involved in football, that's what's happened to the NFL. There was a time in the NFL where there was just purity in terms of that. Now there's guys that this cap mentality and all that gets involved. And I think people don't always understand their role. I'm not saying Kevin Dimoff doesn't have a role. I'm saying Kevin Dimoff's role should be less and not involved in football.
But this is still Hollywood. They're 3 years away from a big new stadium, right?
Big.
And you need a name. I don't know who the name is, but Mike Shanahan's the biggest name on the market
Yeah,
right
I don't
now,
know if Greg
right?
Schiano's the big enough name. And you're going to have to win fairly quick because the one thing we know about L.A., they want to be seen and they love winners. They're not going out and sitting in the stadium and you're losing. That's not going to happen because we've seen some of the luster wear off from the opening when they started 3-1, and now all of a sudden you look at the stadium, it's like.
I've just been around enough to know that if you don't do the right thing, you're going to be having another press conference in 2 years with the wrong thing. And I think that you have to decide. Look, when I was out of football one year, I did a project for the Rams, and they asked me to analyze what made a great head coach. It was the best project I ever did in my life. I spent 3 months studying coaches that were successful, ones that weren't. And it all comes down to leadership. It doesn't come down to what offense you run. It doesn't come down to what defense you run. It comes down to leadership. And you have to be good in those 4 areas of leadership. And my conclusion at that time was Belichick deserved a second chance. Well, Belichick was damaged goods. Nobody in 1996 was hiring Bill Belichick. It only took Robert Kraft to do that. Now he's won 4 Super Bowls. But Kraft's instincts at the time when when Parcells left, he brought Pete Carroll and was to hire Belichick, he just couldn't sell it. He couldn't sell it to the media. He wasn't electable. Right. So he brought in Pete, and Pete did a really good job. But Kraft's instinct at the time was, I need, that's the guy. He brought him back, paid for him. People laughed at him for paying
him. First-round pick.
People around the league laughed. Now he's got 4 trophies. He's been to 6 Super Bowls. So you got to do the right thing. You can't do what's popular because those people will come and watch you. They won't come if you lose. If you hire the big name, you win the press conference. You want to win the Super Bowl.
Right.
That's the key.
But they also, the coaches that are successful, what do they have? They have a lot of control.
That's my point to start the whole segment off.
No mercy. Our next guest is a Hall of Famer who caught 130 touchdown passes in his career, 4th most in NFL history. Cris Carter, welcome to Undisputed.
Thank you, Joy.
And Joy, allow me to officially welcome Cris Carter to the Fox family as an NFL analyst. he will frequently be sitting at this table with us. So now we'll have some genuine Hall of Fame wisdom at this table for once. So we appreciate that very much.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be joining the team.
See, you saw what he did there?
But we dealt with, that's on the intro, though. They gave him the intro, but you know we're going to tag team him.
Yeah. Well, I patted Cris. Hey, he patted you on the back, hit me in my face. Yeah, Cris, you good. Cris, you good, Cris.
I just had to make sure you were listening across the table.
Well, Cris, we're happy to have you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Cris.
Let's talk about last night's game. The Patriots overcame 2 special teams turnovers to beat the Ravens 30-23. Tom Brady threw for over 400 yards with 3 touchdown passes. The Patriots are now 11-2, the best in the AFC. Cris, are the Patriots the best team in the NFL?
I think they're the team to beat. If you look at what they've done, being able to survive the 4-game suspension at the beginning of the season, a rash of injuries, having Gronk now being on the rack for the rest of the year, their ability to develop players and develop a system for the players that they have. Blunt, being able to run him between the tackles. James White, being able to utilize him as a receiver. And they dominate time of possession and field position in games. So when you start to evaluate teams, like, okay, how does this team look? How does this team look? You have to evaluate the small intangibles. And you can't do that with looking at Belichick and Brady. And at this point in Tom's career, he has that drive that we don't see in a lot of players who are that accomplished. Right. So for me, New England is the best team, and someone's going to have to beat them, knock them out.
And you think that defense could hold up as a Super Bowl winning defense?
Yeah, they've done it a number of times.
See,
this is the thing in the NFL, how good your defense have to be. I mean, when you have Tom Brady and you're able to control the clock and you can score 28 points, 25 points on the regular basis, I mean, they are not a great defense between the 20s, but they are a top 10 defense inside the red zone. And that's the most important part. That's what they've been doing in New England the last several years. They give up a lot of yards, but they don't give up a lot of points.
The thing is also is because Tom Brady is there, they put so much pressure on your offense because you know it's not going to be a 17-13 ball game. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to get somewhere in the mid-20s in order to beat them. And the thing that I admire most about the Patriots is that they're not in love with any particular thing. Yeah, we have Tom Brady, but we don't have to have Tom throw it 45 times and throw for 400 yards. If you can't stop the run, deal with the Winnebago, LeGarrette Blount. Yep. If you can stop the run, okay, let me see how good your corner you can hold up outside, and Brady's going to throw it. They will, a lot of teams, well, we're going to do what we do. Belichick, we're going to do what we do to win. So if throwing the football will help us win,
they have the best week in, week out specific game plan.
Exactly. When you talk about situational football, the situation dictate last night that they air it out. That's what it called for. Why am I going to bang my head and try to prove how tough I am and run the ball down the Ravens' throat when I can throw for 400, when I know their guys on the back end can't cover? You always, if it's close, and I think Dallas is close, but you want Dak or you want Tom Brady. You want Garrett or you want Bill Belichick. So when it comes to when you look at it, even if they're slightly behind a team, when it comes playoff time, all things being equal, this team is a little better offensively. This team is a little better defensively. When it comes down to a playoff game and a winner take all, because there's no tomorrow if you lose, you probably 99 times out of 100 you're going to take Belichick and Brady over any other moving forward.
Except for one team. And that was the team that played at Foxborough last night, which is why I've been telling you for 3 weeks how big a game this was for the New England Patriots, because their kryptonite, their nemesis, was there last night. And I don't know what gets into Joe Flacco. And by the way, I thought he played pretty well last night. Threw for, 346? Yeah. But for reasons I can't explain, when Flacco goes to Foxborough, he becomes Tom Brady. He out-Brady's Brady in Foxborough and has on a consistent basis. So the team that's, as a guy who picked the Patriots before the season, Brady fan, the team that scared me is just one team, and it's the Baltimore Ravens. And it was huge last night that the New England Patriots damaged the Ravens' playoff chances. I'm not saying they're not going to make it, but when you knock them down to 7-6 and your Dolphins are still sitting there at 8-5, your Dolphins got a shot now. They got a shot with Matt Moore. But somebody
don't say these
well,
things to me.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, but seriously,
Yeah, but
you know what's ironic about this? if somehow the Patriots clinch before the last game at Miami, it might serve the Patriots well to lose to Miami to get Miami in the playoffs instead of Baltimore. If it comes down to those two teams, because you just don't want to mess with these guys in a win or go home game, even in Foxborough in January. They're just, they walk in, they know they can play.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to get back into it thanks to two insane kicking game blunders, uncharacteristic blunders by the Patriots last night, back to back in the third quarter. Didn't you start to think they're going to pull it off again?
And I saw the scores like 20. The scores like what 17-23. I said, see, they get a touchdown here, they hold on 24-23. That's what I thought the score would be. Hey, Skip giving you false hope. You talking about the Dolphins have the shot?
Well,
Right.
85.
They are a DeAndre Jordan 3-point shot.
Right. I think the intangible is not the Giants. And I do like the Giants because I believe the Giants match up well against New England. But this Giants defense that's defeated New England in 2 Super Bowls, their secondary is better than they have been those 2 years.
Absolutely.
Their secondary. Now, JPP, I'm concerned.
Wait, so you're saying the Giants are going to win the NFC?
No, I'm just trying to give you particulars.
Okay,
All right, I'm a regular on the show now. I'm just trying to trying to lay a precept after a precept. I come back tomorrow and finish it off. But that secondary is formidable. So you can put some more pressure. Now, what I worry about the Giants is JPP. Her sports hernia injury. Had one of them a couple years ago. The doctor tell you, I mean, in a month, you get back to regular activity. In 2 months, you get back to strenuous activity. Yeah. And this is where you start to see NFL players rush themselves back and get hurt. I think the intangible for your team in Dallas is that offensive line. Can they have a game where they take control in 36 minutes time of possession?
That's what you're going to need to beat the Patriots.
If you have one, because there's only one. It's not a series. It's not Golden State versus Cleveland.
Right.
It's one game. So to me, the secondary of the Giants is an intangible that's real, and the offensive line of Dallas, which I believe can take over a football game.
Because what we've seen from Coach Belichick, he realizes that I can't get pressure with 4 guys. Because if I send 5 and if I send an extra 1 or an extra 2, I'm really compromising my back end. And we've been really bad back there. So what they have to do, they have to be really good on 1st and 2nd down to make you 3rd and long, because they want to play rush 3 and drop 8. See, you can't play that coverage if it's 3rd and 3, if it's 3rd and 2. Yeah. That's what they're winning on 1st down, but you also have to understand, you got to be patient. When they're rushing 3 and dropping 8, you can't say, okay, I'm taking my shot here. No, take the 3. Sometimes it's okay to punt the football. But if you put the ball in harm's way and you give Tom Brady an extra 1 or 2 possessions, you're going home.
This is the best I've seen Tom Brady play.
You're going
ever
home.
at 39.
This is the best I've seen him play. If you look at the wide receiver, you look at the ball placement, if you look at his ability to manipulate at the line of scrimmage, 7 in the box. 7 in the box last night, they go play action pass and catch Hogan down the seam. But his ability to manipulate the safety and put the ball where they lead the NFL in yards after the catch. People don't realize it's not the receivers. It's the ball placement. Back shoulder when I need it. In front of me, running when I need it.
See, this is the hardest thing I have trying to explain to people. I knew if I sat up over the ball, if John hit me in my chest, he was telling me to turn up in my shadow. If he threw it on my right, he's telling me to turn that way because the defender's coming from my left.
Yep.
If he put it on the other side, that's what he was telling me.
Yes.
A lot of times you throw the ball there, okay, you throw it over here, I'm turning there, I'm turning into a linebacker that's coming to peel my cap. You take that for granted, but when you play with all-time great players, they understand it and you understand it. And you get on the same wavelength. And what Tom Brady and this offense will do, they know where you should be vulnerable if you play it wrong. Last night, he knew. He says, they're not pressing Hogan. If he takes one false step one way or another, I'm throwing the seam. CC, I've never seen a center field safety 17 yards deep bite on play fake when he's the deep middle field safety.
Yeah, Weddle's a good player, but he doesn't have the range, and Tom baited him. He baited him, just a little play action, kept him on that left hash.
He also gave him a little quick look left.
Well, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Weddle is not good enough to be out of position. Now,
But-
Tom didn't have to look a whole bunch.
No.
The pre-snaps, he saw him that he was off to the left. So all you need to do was a good play fake, and that would keep him there.
And that's the thing. CC, when we used to go in the game plan, it's like, look, sometimes, guys, we're going to get beat because the team is just better. But if we get beat, playing our technique, doing our responsibilities, I can live with that.
Okay.
It's when we lose and we're trying to do something that we didn't practice or we're not coached to do, that's when Mike Shanahan at the Broncos or Brian Billick would lose it. Because he's like, guys, we practiced this all week. We said if they gave us this coverage, this is what we're going to do. So why would you run this route? You have to be on the same page in order for good things to
Okay.
potentially
All that said, the day after Gronk went down, you sat in that same chair and you said, huge loss.
It is.
And I told you, this is Tom Brady's greatest opportunity to pull off his greatest achievement in his career, to win a Super Bowl without Rob Gronkowski. A lot of people think, not that Gronk made Brady, but made him a whole lot better than he could be without him.
He made a great tight end, and Gronk is an all-time great tight end. He makes his job easier. But we need to be careful looking at one game and saying, okay, see, he doesn't even miss Gronk. Because there will come a time that you will need that one guy that can go. CC was a guy, we didn't have to run plays for him. CC could go get open. I didn't need to play. You didn't have to call and rub this and pick that.
Nope, I
Just
agree.
call 24 flanker drive and I can go win on the basic cross.
Yeah.
There will come a time that you will need a guy that says, you know what? No trickerations, none of this manipulation. Go get open.
Especially when the stage gets bigger.
Okay,
Now,
but you both think they can win it all without him, though. So you're still saying
Yes.
number
Yes.
12 is
Yeah,
good
based
enough
on-
to win
yes,
without him.
based on what else is out there, yes.
All right.
Because he's won 3 without Gronk. Before Gronk was in middle school when Tom won his first one. So yeah, I know what he can do without him. I know what Coach Belichick. There's no denying what they are together.
And there's no super teams. There's no super defenses.
No.
There's no kryptonite out there for them.
Everybody has flaws on defense. The Broncos, Seattle, the Ravens, everybody have major flaws in their offense. The question is, can your offense score 28 points, 24 to 28 points? Because that's what it's going to take to beat this team in
Last
the playoffs.
quick question. Are you giving up on your Kansas City Chiefs now?
No, I'm not giving up
No?
on them.
No, I wouldn't give up on Kansas City.
No.
All right.
That little Tyreek Hill, I'm trying to find as many ways as possible to get in the ball.
Well, let's see. It's this week, Skip. Next week might be different.
Yeah, okay.
No mercy. This is the Skip and Shannon Undisputed podcast, where we're delivering you an unscripted, unfiltered, undisputed version of the biggest topics of the day's show. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, like us on Facebook at Undisputed on FS1, follow on Twitter at Undisputed, and catch us at 9:30 a.m. Eastern, 6:30 Pacific, Monday through Friday on FS1. You can find us on channel 219 on DirecTV, 150 on Dish. Thanks for listening, everyone. I'm your host, Joy Taylor. We're back tomorrow with more Undisputed when we're joined by Ray Lewis and Cris Carter once again. We'll see you all on Wednesday.
Fox Sports, one of one.